Alright, hey folks, so in this video I am going to basically replicate my start of expansion route. The moment servers go up and stuff, this is what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to take you through, well, mostly what I'll be doing, we'll get into that a little bit, and this will go up to level 86. So basically I'm going to show you how to get through Jade Forest, and then the rest will obviously be covered in my guide, but basically there is a bit of extra testing that I wanted to do for this level, and I was just going to do it offline to get the footage for the guide, and then I'm like, yeah, you know what, why don't I just record it and have this as a mini tutorial? Because a lot of times the first level is the most important. And especially in the case of MoP, I would say 85 to 86 is by far the most complicated level, because I would say Valley of the Four Winds can be a little bit confusing if you're not sure what to do, like which zones to target, but of course I'll walk through that. I don't think it's that hard, it's just there are a lot of options, so just knowing what to do and what to ignore is, like, important. But once you know what to follow, it's just kind of like, yeah, do these quest hubs in this order. Pretty straightforward. And then Kunlai is, like, 100% the zone, Townlong is 100% the zone, Dread Waste's 100% the zone. It's pretty simple from that point on. There will, of course, be some small tips within my guide to help you out with that, but it's, it's not rocket surgery, right? But obviously, this is for launch, so I'm not going to assume in my guide that you have pre-quests, but this is good practice for me. So I have a lot of pre-quests. I don't have really many add-ons working, so like my questy isn't enabled, which also means that my default quest tracker is not working, which means, hold on, I'm going to pause the recording because I did not realize that was not set. Okay, looks like, yeah, it's working properly. I went ahead and updated add-ons. I got questy now. Okay, yeah, so you can see here I have all my pre-quests. I'm going to be turning these in. I talked about this a little bit in my prep video, but now you'll actually get to see the process that I'm using. You'll see here, obviously I'm Horde, and I have logged out this character. This is where my retail character is sitting right now in-game, and the moment that servers will be up the moment that Blizzard enables the expansion, I guess is a better way to describe it. I'm going to log in right here. We're going to turn in all these quests. And then I'm going to immediately teleport to Tol Barad, because I have this tabard. I'm going to turn in all my Tol Barad quests, and this is where things will differ a little bit. And as I go through, I will kind of talk about what I'm actually going to be doing on launch, which is mostly dungeon spam. For two reasons. One, it's just always going to be a little bit chaotic on live servers. I am playing on a dead server, so theoretically I could do the route that I'm going to show in this video, which I think is slightly faster. I could do it if I really wanted to. I don't think there would be enough meaningful competition, but also a lot of my friends are on Fairlina, which is going to be a complete nightmare, and, well, most people will have to level like this, and it'll be complete nightmare, so I'm going to be dungeon spamming, mostly because I don't think it's slow. I think it's about as fast as a lot of other methods, and I think it'll be more fun to help them and just run stuff with them. Right, so that is what I will be doing on launch, and I'll kind of explain a bit more detail on that as we go through. You can see I have most of my stuff set up. For whatever reason, when you copy your character over to the beta, it doesn't actually, in this version, copy your binds and stuff, so it wipes all my things. So you'll notice my Darkmoon Fair buff is missing 20 minutes. It's at 57 minutes on live servers, but I had to sit here for like 15 minutes and get all my stuff set up, and some of my toys didn't copy over properly. You can see, like, I have a bunch of engineering toys and stuff that I use, like wormhole generators, and they're not copying, so whatever. I can't really change that. It's not that big of a deal. A lot of those things aren't even that important until later in the run, and for this, we're just doing the first level as, like, a test demonstration, so not too super concerned about that. And although potentially missing out on some of this Darkmoon Fair buff may skew the exact numbers a little bit, it's for demonstration purposes, so I'm not big on that. And obviously, because I had to already log in to set this up, we're starting the run here already logged in, even though most of the time I will start the timer, like, as I'm entering worlds, but it's, again, demonstration run, so there's no real point. But I got all my buffs going, so I think... oh yeah, actually, one real quick thing regarding the Wintergrass stuff before I start. I'm in the camp here. This is where the NPCs are the most condensed, and they will be here some of the time. I'm honestly not entirely sure what causes the Wintergrasp NPCs to go where they are, because obviously back in the day, in the original coding of this, if your faction controlled Wintergrasp, your NPCs would be in the fortress. And if your faction didn't control Wintergrasp, they would be out here. But with the current way that it's implemented in Classic, neither faction and both factions control the fortress. It's this weird middle ground. So I have, while passing through Wintergrasp, sometimes seen the NPCs here, as you see them now. I've sometimes seen them over here in the fortress, and obviously for Alliance players, your camp is like up here. That's the Horde equivalent, same deal. They'll just be walking around here. I've sometimes seen them scattered around this area, which, if this happens, it's not that big of a deal. You just, like, mount up, fly over there. It would take an extra, like, 15, 20 seconds. Probably more like 30 seconds, because they're not condensed like this, and you would have to find Lieutenant Merp and then go up here. But it's not that big of a deal. It's still worth starting Wintergrasp. The real problematic thing... My phone's beeping. Sorry about that. I don't know why. Yeah, it's just stupid random notifications. The real weird thing is there have been some times when I've gone through Wintergrasp and the NPCs just aren't there. They just do not show up. They're gone. I don't know what causes that, but I have seen it happen sometimes where they are in 0 locations, and obviously we need to account for that as a possibility, which is one of the reasons why I've prepped a Northrend wormhole generator, because if, God forbid, that bug happens and the NPCs just do not exist on launch and you can't turn in these quests, then you have a few options. You could try and queue for Wintergrasp and hand it in within the battlegrounds, which would work in theory, but I think the ability to queue for it from a distance is still broken, so you would have to go there manually, so that kind of defeats the purpose. Or you would just check in with, like, a wormhole generator or dollar on teleport, I don't know, like, whenever the battle ends or something like that, and hopefully the NPCs are unbugged by that point, in theory. So just like, you know, heads up warning that that is something that can happen. Be prepared for that if you are also turning in Wintergrasp prequests. But anyways, with that covered, let's go ahead and start my timer, and I'll just go ahead and turn this stuff in. I got these two roll over here, and then I'm gonna use my Tolbarad tabard. I have it bound to this, which is like, you know, dash on live, but I forgot to set that keybind up because obviously it doesn't get copied. Teleport to Tolbarad, and then we're just gonna run around, turn in all these quests. And then, like I explained in my prep video, this guy over here is the turn-in for every single one of those quests from the Southern Island. So you don't need to do any additional travel. Just go over there. You're good to go. I'm gonna head over to Orgrimmar, if the portal will load. Now, okay, so 45 seconds-ish. Like I said, it'll take ever so slightly longer. If the... And you can see here I get Art of War automatically in my quest log. This will automatically go in. I've seen some people saying that it overrides your quest log and goes to like a 26 quest. I can find 0 proof of that working. I've tested it multiple times. It doesn't work for me. What it does do is every single time you go into a new area, it automatically pops up in your quest log. So if you're doing the strat, when you phase from Tolbarad to Orgrimmar, it'll automatically throw that in there. So it's not a concern. Like, you will be able to pick it up. Initially, I was wondering, will you have to do like 24 out of 25 pre-quests, because it would suck to have to like log out and log back in. But because it updates when you zone, you can see here, it's very easy to grab. So that's how you'll be entering. Obviously, if you're not doing any pre-quests whatsoever, you just start in the Garrosh place over there that I went to, and you just grab this quest immediately and start flying. This will give you a slight head start. And I said before that I'm going to be dungeon spamming. Now, I still will probably be doing this, but I think for me and my friends, the moment we get all of our quests turned in, we are going to, like, immediately queue for the dungeon, because sometimes there's, like, a small delay, even if you queue with a 5-stack, so you just want to get that locked in. And I would say, even if you're not queuing with a 5-stack, you should probably start just queuing for dungeons immediately, the moment that you're able to, just because, unless you're a tank, you're not going to get instant queues. Even if you are a tank, you're not guaranteed to get instant queues. Alright. Fun little thing you can do here. It is possible to drop down into the cannon. But if you miss, it's a long way down. So don't try this at home, kids. But I like, for any other quest, I would say basically never do that. It's not worth the potential loss. Here's the thing. This quest, every extra second you get to just start shooting mobs is amazing, because this is going to be a massive bottleneck. I talked about this in the prep video, but this quest in MoP Remix, like, I know the optimal way to do it, right? Which is basically just you look for the biggest clusters and you just strafe, and the bullets will just kill everything. It's not a hard quest in theory to do, but, like, I know what I'm doing. I know most of the spawn locations, and it took me a lot of time to finish this in MoP Remix, like 3.5 minutes. And in the case of MoP Remix, I had also memorized the initial quests that you do to, like, get through whatever the first, like, there was a starting experience. That was, like, 5 minutes. So basically, if you optimize that starting experience, you actually could get, theoretically, more of a head start compared to, you know, our actual MoP. Because here, it's just, you pick up 1 or 2 quests, boom, you're in. And there's nothing that leads up to it that actually you can reasonably save time on. And especially if you're doing pre-quests, well, that cuts down a little bit on time, which is why I have said before that if you genuinely plan on questing in Jade Forest, why are these guys not attacking me? Just weird aggro range. Okay. Figured that would have picked them up, but I guess not. It's fine. We'll just tag a lot of these. Okay, one of them leashed. I don't want to go too much further then. Accidentally double hit Shibru. Can I LOS around this thing? Or are they just gonna sit here chucking? Yeah, that doesn't count as an LOS spot. Okay, so these mobs are a little bit annoying. I'm gonna try and... I will admit, I have not heavily practiced this section, specifically because I'm actually not going to be doing these quests at all. Launch. There's just no reason. Because if I plan on doing dungeons, like, there's just... why bother? These are... well, they're not bad, right? I would say definitely do these in a vacuum if it's not going to be super bottlenecked, but it will be super bottlenecked largely because of the airship quest. And these are a little bit bad. Suck it off. Okay, the main thing I need to be doing here, and I would say, like, I've been kind of ignoring it because I know that I don't need to, since it's, there's nobody here. But on launch, you're going to want to make sure that you're sniping these munitions, because this is going to be a partial bottleneck. NPCs, you can usually sit at, like, I mean, there's a ton of them scattered all over the place, right? You'll be able to get at least some tags. Getting 15 troops is not going to be that difficult. But getting those munitions tags will be somewhat tricky. I also believe there is... yeah, I'm not sure if there's a delay on how that works, because obviously I've never tested this in an environment where, like, other people are trying to snipe the tag for me. I'll be frank, I don't remember exactly how this worked in MoP Remix. I remember the Gatling gun quest in Remix being a massive pain, but beyond that, it's been a while. I got a few more munitions piles. Check that. Cool. And there's one more munitions pile. I'm gonna try not to aggro anything. Just shoot that. Okay, nice. We just run up to the top. Small thing, you'll notice I haven't turned in my cooking, fishing, and Peak of Serenity dailies. That is intentional. There's no reason to do that right now. Cooking and fishing scale with your level, so I'm going to hold those until level 89. And the Peak of Serenity one, that one I'm actually not sure if it scales with your level. I think it might, but I honestly haven't really tested it, to be sure. But it doesn't really matter, because there's no reason to turn it in on launch anyways. Because it's just not worth it. And there's going to be some points, I'm almost certain, where I'll be using Zen Pilgrimage to save, like, a little bit of time. I don't know exactly when that will be, or when the first time it will be, but I know there's multiple points where you'll want to use it, just to cut down slightly on travel time. Find Captain Doran. Yeah, I have to run ahead, trigger the roleplay. And then there's a bit of RP here. I know Jade Forest as a whole is not a good zone. That's, you know, no secret. I feel these initial quests are honestly not the worst. Let's clash. Just get it a little bit closer, because I'm worried that there might be some missing credit. No, we're good. Then Terran Zoo jumps up. Yeah, these initial quests are fine. There's, like, some roleplay here, but everything surrounding Honeydew Village, and the same thing applies to Alliance, everything around Podon Village, I think it's called. It's relatively fine. But I think that when you get to... For the Alliance... I forget, I don't think they unlock Lorewalker Cho first. I think they get to the Jinyu area. So basically, Alliance, when they get to the Inkgil Mir, I think it's called, that's where you're going to want to stop in Jade Forest. Like, again, in a vacuum, assuming that there's no problems. If I recall correctly, it's been a while since I've tried to optimize this. I'm pretty sure it's better to jump off here, because there's so many Sha down at the bottom. And actually, might be a good idea on launch to just immediately jump off the cliff, because I think most people will instinctively just go back down the stairs the way they came, and you don't need to do that. The main roadblock here, I believe, is going to be the Harbingers, if I remember correctly, because the Sha haunts spawn pretty frequently. There's a bunch of spawns. Try to get the Chi Burst here. Yep. Shaw Haunts. Need to get a few more of those. I'll just run over here and grab them. In this area. But yeah, I think it's such a weird situation for Jade Forest, because I'm tempted to say that Horde has it better, and I think, technically speaking, if you're really optimizing leveling, Horde does. Like, I feel that truly Horde will have an advantage for, like, the fastest possible speedruns, but for casual play, I think Alliance has actually a slight advantage in terms of the Jade Forest, like, quest path, because pretty early on, Horde players get bottlenecked by Lorewalker Cho, and then there's like a handful of opposing quests, and then it goes into do the long roleplay stories. And Alliance players, I think, Lorewalker Cho is a side quest for them, I believe, or at least he's a prereq in the campaign that is like kind of a split path, and technically speaking, you can do other stuff before actually getting around to him. Because if I recall, I was able to do more in Jade Forest as Alliance than I would have normally thought, because I'm so used to Horde hitting Lorewalker Cho super early and just being like, okay, this is the jumping off points. Both quests are roughly the same, and Horde has good quests later on. It's just, I think, the way that the story is laid out benefits Alliance players slightly. However, the reason why I think Horde players are, like, more in an advantage... God, I can't talk. Horde players are in a more advantageous position for Jade Forest, I believe, largely because of the way the treasures are spread out. The general questing paths are mirrored, so you're going to have a similar experience either way. That is not true for the treasures. The treasures are in fixed positions, and I really don't know what the Blizzard devs were thinking when they made this back in MoP, but Horde has 3 really high experience treasures in a very small condensed area, pretty much isolated in their section of the zone. Alliance players can get it, but it's not like, oh, it's closer to Horde, but it's still in the center. No, it is squarely. We're talking about the Lucky Pandaren Coin, the Pandaren Teapot, and Pandaren Ritual Stone. Alliance players will probably still get this for, like, second runs once you have flying. It's not that long of a detour, because, you know, if you fly, you can just hop over the mountains here, and it's not that bad, but running all the way here on foot is just a death sentence for Alliance players. You're just not going to do that. Like, you might do this if it's like you've gotten through all of the bad quests, or all the good quests, you're on the bad stuff, and you do like dungeon spam, and in between dungeon queues, you just literally book it all the way up to the Horde section of the zone just to grab those. But then it's also going to be a pain on like any sort of contested PvP server, because then Horde players might try to kill you, and there's not going to be a lot of Alliance around, so it's not ideal. And the only Alliance treasure is this Offering of Remembrance, because you see these other ones, right? Ancient Jinyu Staff, and then, yeah, this is another. There's just multiple spawn locations there. But you might see that and be like, oh, Alliance has all these treasures, but not only is it all for the same treasure, but Ancient Jinyu Staff is one of the rare ones that is a shared spawn between other people. So you only have Offering of Remembrance, and I think there's technically another Alliance treasure, like, yeah, Ship's Locker, but it's all the way off the coast. And that is another one where once you have flying, it might be worth it to fly all the way out into the water and grab it. But even with, like, Path of Frost, it's a decent amount of travel. I would not recommend going to get that one. So yeah, Ally gets shafted. And I don't remember the exact numbers on it, but I recall that Offering of Remembrance actually gives slightly less experience than the 3 Horde treasures. So, you know, it's insult to injury. At least every single quest hub from here on is not really divided by factions, so it's not really that much of an issue beyond specifically Jade Forest, but something to keep in mind. Alright. So, earlier I said that if you're trying to quest in Jade Forest, if you really just don't want to do dungeon spam, do quests up until this point, because you'll see at this point we've unlocked the portal to Orgrimmar. So, you can get back here a little bit earlier. And I would say at this point you've gotten past most of the really heavy bottleneck quests. Technically, the stuff around like that initial opening scenario is going to be the worst by far. And once you've got into like the Shah, it's not too bad. But there's no reason to get to that point and then just run all the way over here just to do your pre-quests, only to run all the way back and do it. It's just this is the most intuitive spot to do all that turn-in stuff. Because then what you can do is run over here, set your Hearthstone to this, and then have my toy... Is my toy box updated? No. But, like, you could Wormhole Generator to Wintergrasp, go turn that in if Wintergrasp isn't active. Then you could do your Hellscream's Reach Tabard, and then once you're done with all of that, you just use your Hearthstone and teleport here. Alternatively, if you don't want to use your Hearthstone, you could just take the portal from Orgrimmar. So, all things considered, I think this is your best strategy if you're doing pre-quests. Obviously, you can see here, even with my pre-quests, I'm still only about a third of the way through, so you have plenty of time. It's pretty forgiving. I don't need to do any of this stuff. What I am going to do real quick now, because I'm just going to simulate my plan on launch day, is I'm going to... Yeah, because there's no Zen Master Engineering Trainer. So, because I don't need to rush to Jade Forest ASAP, I will probably grab Zen Master Engineering in Orgrimmar before I even travel to Pandaria. I have kind of an ace up my sleeve that is, like, kind of a multi-box trick that I'll be using. Basically, I have a Warlock army, so I won't actually need to do any of these quests. But I'm just going to go and simulate this. Still not going to turn this stuff in. Again, this stuff you don't need to do, but the main reason I'm doing this in the first place is to practice my path for day 1. And this will be included in what I am personally doing. So I'm doing it. And technically I could do all these crafts here, but I'll just like eat the 30-second demonstrational time loss. I'll go back here. And that way I can show you actually how the portal works. So if you're forced to take it, you know exactly where it takes you to Org, and Stormwind, I believe it takes you to the Mage Tower. Or, no, Stormwind takes you to the Panda area by the Cataportals. So, the Stormwind portal is actually, I think, a little bit closer to Tolbarad, because the Tolbarad portal will be in that location. But yeah, so here's an anvil. So I'll do has skill up. I'm going to craft an X-ray scope. I've tactically left my engineering at 1 point lower, so I still get that bonus. And then it carries over. I'm just going to do X-ray scopes till it runs out, and then I'm going to do heat-treated spinning lures at 535. I will say I probably recommend doing this if you are interested in leveling engineering, which I think would apply to a good chunk of people, because obviously engineering is the go-to profession, so may as well. And as expensive as these materials may look, I've obviously massively over-prepped this, but also any leftover materials that I have, I can then just mail to one of my many alts. So that is why I have overbought. But you can, like, crunch the numbers yourself and see roughly how much you need. And even if you're not prepping this, like, on launch, I still think this is a better way to do the first 2 levels, because there's just going to be so much cheap unlucky here with skill points. Oh my god. Oh my god. What? Hello? Blizzard? What the fuck? This is why I over prep, by the way. Oh my god. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. That is maybe the longest skill point from a green recipe I've ever seen. That is some crazy shit. Anyways, honestly, still probably on day one cheaper than Ghost Iron Ore. And the main reason I'm doing that, I'm including it in this because I'm trying to give an accurate simulation of what I will be doing, even if you aren't going to get to see the, end game, the final resolution for that. I haven't been using my banners because you can see here, requires guild friendly. I have them set up, but I can't use them on beta, so it's like, it's whatever. But, if you have these banners prepped, obviously you should try to be using them on CD. Personally, I am going to be doing dungeons, so my plan is I've gotten all of my guildies that agreed to run dungeons with me. I told them that they had to get banners, so I found a guild on Fairlina with, the guild is named Jesus is God for some reason, but that was the first guild that I managed to find that actually had all 3 of the banners unlocked, so I had to explain to all of my friends why I needed them to join a random guild called Jesus is God, and trust me, this is relevant for the speedrun stuff. So they all joined, bought their banners, and now we're going to have a banner rotation set up. So whenever we enter a dungeon, I think in most cases, I did some testing of MoP Remix. I forget the exact position. Jade Forest or Jade Serpent is easy. If you put a banner right in the entry hallway, it covers pretty much the entirety of the dungeon because it like loops back in on itself. Stormstar Brewery, I remember, was a little bit weird. There was like a specific spot that you could place it, but honestly, I'll probably just have us place a second banner because I think it should be fine. But I'm pretty sure if we have 2 banners up, then the strongest one will override. So if we are in range, we'll still get credit. I'll figure something out for that. But I'm going to just call their name and be like, hey, so-and-so, pop your banner now, and then we'll get their epic banner, and then we'll rotate every single dungeon through the epic banners to make sure that we're constantly getting the strongest one, which is 15% increased experience. Fun little thing for this Horde quest. I should have been looting more actively, so I messed up a little bit there. This particular area, the Wreck of Hellscream's Fist, is by far the best place to get these. And a lot of people don't realize that there's like a crap load of monkeys. They'll try to like fight for tags out in the open. See here, super dense. But what I should have been doing is whenever you kill like 1 or 2 of them, loot it. Because you can see there I got Snuff's corpse. But on the previous pack, I got like 4 quest items. But because all of them were the eye, I actually didn't get progress. So you want to be spam looting basically every time you kill a mob here. If you do 1 gigantic pull, you could theoretically get all 4 of them in a single pull. Right, yeah, I can't go out this way. I wonder if you can do some fancy parkour shit. We test for science. Oh, okay. Now jump onto this ledge. I feel like you can make it. I should probably not be wasting time just because, thing is, I still have to finish video editing on the guide. So every second here counts. Yeah, I'm not gonna... If I could have easily gotten that, it would have just been cool to see, but it does not matter in the slightest, so you can just run back this way. I generally speaking like these quests. They're not like the most efficient quests ever, but I would say this initial section of Jade Forest, in my opinion, is like roughly comparable to the quest density you'll find in the rest of the MoP zones. MoP in general doesn't have like the fastest zones ever. I think like retail over time and MoP Remix especially have kind of demonstrated that, where I have never really featured any MoP questing in any of my retail routes. It's just not great compared to a lot of the options that have come out over the years, like, WAD or even the Cattle Revamp zones. They just end up being better. But it's good. It's like, I would say most of the time above average, especially compared to like TBC and Wrath. But even TBC and Wrath have some random quest hubs with like insane density. And it's very hit or miss for those expansions. It's either like really, really, really terrible or insane stacked quests that give you tons of experience. And MoP is just like very consistently, yeah, like above average. So in theory, you could argue that TBC or Wrath could have better potential, because if you only target the really good hubs, which is what I do when I'm leveling like in Kata, I only target the really, really, really dense hubs with all the wanted quests and stuff, and I get tons of experience from that. And then I just dungeon spam to get my one-time quests. Technically speaking, because of that, the process is actually faster for those expansions. Okay, nice. They all despawn. And I talk to Nazgrim.
Nothing shall stand in our way.
Yeah, it's a shame that, generally speaking, dungeon spam in MoP is not efficient. For the first level, I think it is, simply because a combination of the majority of Jade Forest, I'd say like probably 3/4 of it, is very slow. Or rather, a better way to describe that is Jade Forest is like, the first quarter is fast, the 2 quarters in the middle are really, really, really slow, and then it has like some pretty good isolated quests here and there that make up like the remaining hubs, and those can be good. It's just a lot of them you need to do pre-quests to reach. Or prerequisite quests is probably a better descriptor. Something interesting, though, that I was never super sure about, so before starting this run, I actually did go and double-check, and I will be doing that. So I guess technically I don't need to talk about it here, because they're going to see it. But I wanted to see which quest chains in Dawn's Blossom, the center hub, or like the neutral center hub, which ones were locked behind the main campaign and which ones you could just pick up normally. And I was surprised to see that Tian Monastery, the stuff over here, is actually not locked behind any prereqs. You can just immediately go there, pick up the breadcrumb, and then head to Tian Monastery. And although it takes some travel time to get to, I would say, because it's not bottlenecked at all, you can just start it immediately. If you're in a position where you enter this zone and you're waiting in a dungeon queue, like, launch is so weird because it's just one of those things that there's no perfect recommendation. But there's obviously no point in sitting here and just, like, waiting for a singular quest objective to try and, you know, get it before somebody else. You're just wasting your own time. And I can tell you right now, all these are going to be a nightmare. Because, like, this quest, I kind of mentioned this in my prep video, the Strong Arm Tactics, is a really problematic one. Because getting, you know, the specific mobs, right? Master Engineer, Cogswing, and stuff, you're going to need to sit at every single one of those locations and snipe the tag. It's not like a lot of these other ones where if you just need to kill X amount of generic troops, as soon as one generic one spawns, if you're moving through the zone, you get a kill. They all spawn at specific points, and you need to kill 4 of them. And they're spread out enough that you won't be able to reliably tag multiple at the same time. Like, you might be able to, if your group is insanely good, have one person snipe this tag and another person over here snipe this tag. They're close enough together that you could theoretically pull it off, but I mean, good fucking luck. Good fucking luck. That's gonna be tough. So, and the other one is, like, I believe in the house over there. Yeah, so that one you're still gonna have to camp no matter what. There's also this one. Oh yeah, this is a quest I remember from MoP Remix being a nightmare, because there's 2 issues with this other quest. The gyrocopters shot down. First off, you need fucking 12 of them, which is just a lot in a vacuum. And in order to shoot down these helicopters, you need to pick up these fireworks launchers. So now I have it, and now I shoot this, and it has a travel time. But it consumes a charge, no matter what. So that shot that I just did consumed one of my fireworks charges. Each one that you pick up gives you 2. So I shoot it down. Seems easy enough, right? And it is. Like, a lot of these quests, as I said, in a vacuum, not that bad. You know, there's a bunch of these things condensed. There's like a million gyrocopters. You might be thinking, well, why is this a problem? Well, the gyrocopters are only all up right now because nobody else is here. If you're in like a situation where there's tons of other people, you have a twofold problem. You also notice that one of my shots didn't register. That's another thing. If they like hook in the right direction and like get out of range, it won't count and you won't get a kill. So one of mine was lost there. So that's a problem that you can run into. But not only do you have to fight for tags on these fireworks launchers, which, mind you, don't have a super slow respawn, you'll be able to get them more often than not, but because of the travel time, if you and multiple other people target the same gyrocopter, only the first person to hit it gets credit. So what's going to happen is you're going to have a bunch of people fighting over these tags for these fireworks launchers, and then like 3 different people are going to shoot at the same exact time at one of these gyrocopters, and only the first out of the 3 that lands that tag gets credit, except it consumes a charge from all of those other people. You want to know what that means? Not only are those people not getting credit, which is making the quest take even longer, and meaning that people are going to be relentlessly camping every single one of these gyrocopters, but because you're having to consume the charges in order to take a shot and then waste your shot, you're going to have to go back and get more fireworks launchers. So it's basically going to massively increase the amount of camping that's done on the fireworks launchers. So even if in a vacuum, they're not super hard to get, well, when everybody keeps whiffing their shots and has to get another one, it's bad. This is one that I really struggled with in MoP Remix. It was like I got bottlenecked on the main Gatling gun quest, and then I pulled ahead by doing, like, getting through that relatively quickly. And I got through the initial stuff pretty fast because at that point in time, it's been like, about a year. But I did practice this entire opening section a lot. So I remember it decently well. It's just, I haven't really done these quests since MoP Remix. But then I got through relatively quickly, but then I had to compete with like a few people over the stupid gyrocopters, and I got slowed down a lot, and a bunch of people started catching up. Thankfully, because I had already gone here early, I managed to get through the gyrocopter quest easily enough. And obviously, there are ways to optimize this, right? If you're watching like a hawk and you have it keybound, I don't have my quest items keybound here, but you can do that, right? You can put it on your bars. So if I take this, and I take this, and there are add-ons that do this. Put this here, just do this quickly, and just snipe it. And because the travel time is important, if you figure out where the closest hubs are, you can stand right by one when it's spawning and just launch it super close, so you're more likely to get that first hit. So you can do things like that to save yourself a little bit of time, and then pretty much, if memory serves, after getting through this bottleneck and cementing my lead further, it was like smooth sailing, and then I didn't really encounter too many other people for the rest of the questing journey. And also, in MoP Remix, especially because the zone levels were flexible, the moment that I was done with like this set of quests, I was able to go into Jade Forest, or Valley. That's obviously not going to be the case in regular MoP. You will, theoretically, need to stay here for a lot longer, which is where it becomes problematic. So we do the Captain Doran quest, and we're quickly approaching my jumping off point. I think there's my speedrun jumping off point, and then there's my recommended jumping off point, because one of the quests that I usually don't like to do in a speedrun is at least not a bad bottleneck quest, and there's a few good ones afterwards. So if you get there, you may as well do it. But the Lore Walker Cho point is where you're just like, nope, ditch this entirely. I'm not entirely sure how the treasures work under, like, high competition. Because I know that the... Oh, I'm the wrong thing. I know that the treasures are shared. So, or rather, they're like, not shared in the sense that anybody can pick up, multiple, like the Pandaren Teapot and all that stuff. You can have a bunch of people get it. But I think that there is a small respawn timer before it shows up again, before somebody else can get it. So I don't know how long that respawn timer is. I'm fairly certain it's not anything longer than like 5 minutes. So I don't think you'll be waiting a really long time to get that on launch day, but it's something to consider. Of maybe you want to like beeline over there and just grab it early just to be sure. If there's, a lot of people. And frankly, if you are completely stuck on this first set of quests up north, then again, don't even bother doing this stuff. Head south, grab the treasures on your way, look for rares, make your way down south, and then, like I said, do stuff in Dawn's Blossom. Because a lot of people will just sit here and fight over tags, and you can get an advantage by going in... I think there's actually 2 chains that I was able to pick up here. One of them sends you to the south. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but like if you have nothing else to do while you're waiting on dungeon queues, you can. But Tien Monastery definitely do. I was pleasantly surprised to see that it does not require, what's it called? It does not require any prereq stuff. So that means it'll be really good. Because Tien Monastery, in my opinion, is the fastest set of quests in this entire zone. It is very good. There's like 1 or 2 quests in there that are like, eh. But as a whole, the hub is very, very, very fast. And all of the good quests are front-loaded. So if you want, you could just, leave a little bit early once you've done all the really good stuff. But especially if you're just competing for tags on launch day, it might behoove you to stick around for a little bit longer. I think I need to... Do I need to kill sprites? I don't think so. Let's just do all this stuff. And then cross the water. One thing that I've already realized I forgot to prep, and it's kind of too late because I've already moved my character over to a dead server and forgotten to grab it, is water walking potions. Because I was so used to doing so many of my test runs as a Blood DK, and on Blood DK, you just have Path of Frost. So it never occurred to me that, like, oh, crap, yeah, I'm not going to have that for my monk. That being said, a lot of the quests where water walking is beneficial are in Jade Forest, because there's some quests around a lake in Kunlai Summit, but you actually get a like, water walking buff as part of that. And then this will let you go back easily, so it's only one way. Okay, now is when I kill the sprites. Now, you may notice that my my buffs are about to expire, including my Darkmoon Fair buff. Really unfortunate, ah, shucks. If only I didn't have to rebuild my binds, I would have been able to get that Darkmoon Fair buff the entire way, to get the full accurate test. Funny though, yeah, I seem to have still, from my prep video, left these Darkmoon game prizes in my bags. Yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of them. Just toss these out, and don't need to worry about them too much. Except, oh, what's this? Oh, there's Darkmoon Fair top hats in these game prizes. And oh, what's this? I can use them, and it still gives me the 10% buff outside of the Darkmoon Fair. That's crazy. Wow. Who would have seen that one coming? So, yeah, I feel like it's probably sufficiently far enough into this video to show that tech. And here's the thing. I highly expect that, because I know a few people, myself included, who are going to take advantage of this on launch day, and I would be very surprised if this survives past launch day anyways, because I am not the only person using this. If Blizzard somehow sees this on launch, and they don't fix it, then they were never going to fix it anyway. So this is basically the last time that I can show this off and be like, oh, look, this cool little tech, before it gets inevitably nerfed. And like, right now it's 5 a.m. at the time of me recording this. We're already, like, about 12 hours from the servers going live, so by the time that I actually post this video, it'll be so close to launch that what the fuck are they going to do? Like, delay the launch, do an emergency hotfix to, like... First off, they'd have to watch my video, which they're probably already going to be all hands on deck, and it's usually way too late to do any emergency fixes, so... It is possible that this is something that they have patched on live servers, and it still works in the beta, because they just didn't push that fix to the beta. That is not, like, inconceivable. I'm not even going to pretend that that's, I think, if I recall, yeah, I can't remember if you skip that cutscene if it breaks it. There's definitely been a few times where that has happened to me, so... Usually like to play it safe. This is where I said that before. There's like a speedrun cutoff point for me, and then just everybody should leave point. This is the speedrun cutoff point. I don't really like this quest. I think it's just kind of slow. There are ways to optimize it, but it's just really annoying. Basically, you need to time this one really precisely, like that. It fires in like a spread, like, shrapnel area behind you. So you need to wait until there's a big cluster of monkeys right behind the helicopter, and there are places like that where that works. So you can see here it's about to circle over, and then shrapnel shot, and that, yeah, takes out a bunch of them. So if you do it that way, you can get through it relatively quickly, but I still don't love this quest. That's usually my jumping off point. And then I'm 99% sure this is Lorewalker Cho.
Nothing shall stand in our way.
Yeah, oh no, it's... You have to visit the 2 locations, and then you go meet Lorewalker Cho. Yeah. Now, this does, technically speaking, give you, like, direct you towards the treasure, so you're gonna go here anyway, so you could make the argument that, like, yeah, I guess you do this quest because it's free XP if you're already going to be visiting these locations and then killing a single mob. But then afterwards, there's the long roleplay quest with Lorewalker Cho, and that is where I think that you should just leave. So we have this, Lucky Pandaren coin. I guess it's probably worth double-checking that this actually is boosting my experience. It's not showing on here, but I think it doesn't affect the on-paper values. So... I'll double-check, because they might have done a stealth hotfix where the buff doesn't actually work. That I haven't actually crunched the numbers on. So, how much XP did I get for that last quest? I got... Yeah, but I did get actually, 133. So, that indicates that it's more than the listed value. But... We'll see. That was 133, and then I should just be getting the, listed 111 here. Although that might be affected by fast track, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, you can see here, the other treasure gave, like, what, a little over 100k? That one only gave 95k, so I believe that it is affected. This only gave 120, yeah, 122. So that's affected by fast track. What's another 10% on that? 133, yeah. Okay. Confirm the top hat is actually functioning. So, I was pretty sure. It would be weird if they actually let you get the buff, but then did a secret the buff is disabled thing. It would be a lot more work than if they were to just nuke it entirely. And, again, this is the quest where you just abandon it. This is probably the only point in the entire process where if I had had water walking potions, it would have been nice. The only thing is water walking potions would overwrite your regular pots, so that would lose me a little bit of time. But it's fine because I do have Sea Turtle. And I actually technically have swim speed potions that I could and should be using, probably. I'm not going to be using potions. For questing, there's just no real reason to use potions. Or, like, regular questing. If you're doing a really hard quest, you can pop a potion of Tolvir, and I will, but a lot of times I just save it for stuff like that. If you're in a dungeon, obviously, for a boss, you can use Potion of Tolvir, just to save a little bit of time. And we've gotten all 3 of the treasures, so that's definitely worth doing. I did pick up the treasure, right? I'm gonna double check my achievement. Because I just had that... Yeah, okay, 3 out of 5. I just had this, like... I don't know... Like, amnesia moment of, like, did I actually hit the object? I'm pretty sure I did, but, maybe I just forgot. Also interesting, there's a treasure down here, Chest of Supplies. You can get this one if you want, but it gives, like, 1/10 the experience of normal treasures, and it's kind of out of the way, so... There's, like, a quest in the Jade Force questline where you're in this lake anyway, and if you're there, yeah, click it. It gives extra experience, but it is not worth going out of your way for, compared to these other ones, which a single click for an entire quest's worth of XP is obviously worth it. I shouldn't have to explain that. Now, from here, I guess, I'll pause. I'm not going to pause the timer, but I'll kind of talk through it a little bit. Like I said, Alliance do a similar thing, where they go here, they clear out Podon Village, clear out the Horde area. Then there is the whole, like, freeing the Jinyu guys. And then it's not until you actually... Damn fly that has just been, annoying the hell out of me recently. Just busted my face. Anyways. The Inkgilmir stuff, this is your hopping off points. And similar thing, you can go over here and grab the Offering of Remembrance if you want. And I don't remember exactly if I'm showing the right location. That might be confusing this with a different spot, but you get the idea. In the Fog of War, I can't remember exactly pinpoint locations. And Like, Questy shows all these quests, but keep in mind that a lot of these are not correct. Questy does not have super accurate data. Something to do with, like, the modern quests don't track properly, and the Questy dev has to edit them by hand, so some of these are available. Like I said, the Tian Monastery one, this is working. So I'm going to go and do that for demonstration purposes, because I think those are really good quests, and I want to make sure that I showcase that in this video. But something that you could also do is go and hunt rare mobs. So there's like the Jade Warrior statue. Now, I'm not 100% sure how this will work, because on one hand, Pandaria is actually loaded into the game right now. So as long as the zones exist, the rare mob spawn timers are ticking down. Like, they are loaded, they're ready to go. It might be a little bit weird with, like, certain layers. I think if a new layer is created, it might reset the spawn timers on rare mobs. And depending on how long it is between Blizzard putting their servers up, so you can see Jade Warrior statue. This one, I'm not sure if it gives experience. Yeah, it doesn't, because it's not, like, an actual object you loot, so it doesn't count as, like, a container. Weird. But, I mean, you could get this if you want. It's honestly, it's not a terrible weapon, I suppose. If you have, well, really bad weapons, it's kind of bad. Whatever. It's a one-handed sword anyway, so very few specs are actually going to be able to use it. A lot of the other treasures that are shared will give you experience, though, so they are worth doing. I figured this rare would be up, so this is a good example of, like, a rare that you could kill. It's off the beaten path. There are no quests that take you here, so nobody will stumble upon this while questing. If this guy's up, the first person to go out of their way to find him will kill him. So if you go and kill him, there's also other ones like this Manted rare. Is up on a hill down south. I'll probably show it towards the end, but that is another really isolated rare that you can kill. This one, Aethys, is right on a quest path, so he's probably going to die. There's a bunch of other ones down here that are along the quest path, so they might die. This guy off to the side is not, so you might be able to get him. Ferdinand is technically on a quest path, but if you go here early, you might find him before anybody else reaches it. And there's, yeah, another rare up here, but this one is kind of hard to reach. With flying, these are really good treasures to grab, because it's like, you know, just hop over the hill and snipe him before continuing on, but on your very first character, obviously you won't be able to do that, so technically, if you're at Tian Monastery, which I am recommending that you go to, you can take a small detour midway through the chain and check for Morgan Crackfang, but it is... maybe small detour is not the right descriptor there. It's a medium-sized detour, but if you find him, it's worth it. It's worth it. And there's also treasures over there. So there is a Hammer of Ten Thunders and Woden's Manted Shanker, which, if you do go there immediately, you may be the first people to reach those treasures, and those do give experience, which maybe I'll be able to show that if nobody else has claimed it by the time I get there. But here we can see Mr. Ferocious. I'll kill this guy just to show you, like, how much experience these rares give, so you understand why this might be worth it. They, you know, fair warning, right? They are beefy, so I don't think I showed my monk's gear, so I'll just quickly show it here. My Brewmaster monk is, like, actually geared to the fucking teeth. This character got blessed by the 3 heroic Dragon Soul lockouts. I have a heroic Nokoled, I have heroic Vial of Shadows, heroic Starcatcher Compass, heroic Shoulders, which are one of the weakest slots that you would be able to get otherwise. So I got very lucky on this character. I have really good gear, so my damage is going to be relatively good. I'm kind of, like, a little bit zoned out and not trying to, like, lock the fuck in. But if you're very undergeared, these rares will be a challenge. And the other thing is, a lot of these attacks really hurt. Let me see if I can get hit by one to show you. Going bananas, there's one Hosen rare in particular, Scritch, up in Kunlai. They all have the same moveset. I'll try to get hit by this to show you. Yeah, so this does, like, a big chunk of damage. Mind you, that's a Brewmaster, so, you know, really tanky, really geared, through stagger. This will shred Clothies. Banana Ring, you just kind of step off to the side. Right, it's not too hard. But the Going Bananas one is brutal. If you're in a condensed area, it can fuck you up. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Of course I get that on fucking PTR. Yeah, so they always drop a 400 item, and then they have rare mob drops. And the 420 piece, pretty good. Obviously, I'm not going to use it because it's strength. But there is a type of drop for basically everything. There's like an int drop. an Agi sword drop. I forget which one is which, because in this zone, it doesn't really matter. And that's only for Jade Forest. I think the rares in Townlong, I want to say, also give gear drops. Or do they? I forget. They all give, like, the generic piece, but the epics are only certain rares. It's not a guarantee. But Jade Forest, almost all of them do. A lot of the other ones are, like, toys and fun collectible items, which a lot of them are very good. Also, small note. So this guy over here, Singruff, he sells you a full set of 372 gear. There's a vendor like this in basically every single zone. Most of them are pretty early. I think Jade Forest is the longest it takes to reach one. I can't remember where the Valley of the Four Winds one is. I want to say it's right at the start. I think it is pretty close to the entrance, and maybe I'll double check that at the end of the video. But I do know for a fact that Banan Village, there's a vendor right over here at the start. In Longying Outpost, also right at the start of Townlong, there's a vendor. And Dread Wastes, literally right where you get the first quest, up on the wall, there's a vendor that sells you stuff. So those 3 zones, at least, you can immediately, before even questing there, get some potential upgrades. But Jade Forest one is a little bit isolated, and I want to say Valley is at the start, but I don't know for sure. Something... Do I have my pets? I don't think my pets copied. Oh, my pets did copy. Ah, okay. Something that I'll just test for science, because I hear people talking about pet battles a lot, and I'm pretty confident that they're not good. I don't really have any good flying pets, but I do have Liftoff here. I have some decent abilities here, and I can just take Alpine here, because that's kind of always good. And we'll just do a pet battle and see how much experience I get. Also, fun fact, I guess it's kind of a pointless tip now, I did post in my Discord. This is, genuinely, I have this on live server as a Kunlai Runt, because there's a very rare chance that a pet battle will spawn in the Peak of Serenity. So, on certain dead servers that I have my Monk alts parked in, every now and then a Kunlai Runt will pop up inside of the Peak of Serenity, so I managed to tame one, and I leveled it up to 25. I also have, this one isn't one of the rabbits, but there's a few rabbits from Kunlai that I also have tamed. Of course it misses. Okay, fair's fair. Don't miss now. Sure. Flipped off here. There's obviously different types of pets that you can use that are harder counters. Of course I fucking missed that. Crimson Whelpling, good pet, right? But it's not a hard counter, but it also isn't hard countered by any of these. So, like, this is fine, but... Oh, Jesus Christ. If I really wanted to optimize pet battle grinding, you would want to have, like, dedicated teams of, like... You know, I'm going to pet battle in this particular subzone. The one that I've seen people discussing is outside of Stormstout Brewery, and they have, like, basically specific counter teams set up to farm the Stormstout Brewery pets. And if you know exactly what you're going to be fighting ahead of time, it's very easy to train that. But I have done a lot of pet battling in pre-patch, but I haven't gotten, like, every single pet level. So 99k XP, right? That's not bad, all things considered. That's about the same as, like, a shitty quest like this, because keep in mind this is after modifiers, so this would have given me 99k with all of my XP mods. So it's like, it's not like a full quest, but it's like a shitty quest. I've seen people say, the cope that I see from people who are advocating for pet battling leveling, and I say cope, but, like, keep in mind, I do genuinely enjoy pet battles. If it was a viable method of leveling, you would see me advocating for it. I just don't think it is. But people are like, oh, it's like a quest every 30 seconds, which, like... But at the same time, in, like, efficient hubs, you can do better than that. Ideally, you're never going to want to do a single quest at, like, one time. You're going to want to pick up, like, 3 quests at once. That's the goal, right? Also, in theory, right, if you're doing alt-leveling runs, you could battle, like, the Tamer here, and the Tamer quests are fine. You can also pre-complete them, but that's a whole different story. Because at that point, you're getting the raw XP from the pet battle itself and the quest. So that's basically like 2 quests. So that can potentially be worth a detour. Hard to say for sure. But I don't know. I don't think pet battling is abysmal experience, but I think the problem with pet battling is more like everything else just really sucks. And there are going to be better options, like efficient questing will be better. The other thing about problem with comparing a pet battle to a quest is most good efficient quests, you're also killing mobs along the way. So you're doing like 3 quests in the span of like, let's be super generous. And let's say you have a super duper optimized pet battling team, and there's only so fast that you can optimize pet battling, because if you're doing a battle of like level 25, which is what you need to do to get the most experience, and you are you have like a perfectly optimized comp, yeah, you may be able to shred through that team really quickly, but there is still just a raw amount of animation time, especially if the pet you're farming ideally wouldn't be something that has like dodge or stall abilities. You'd want something that can chew through enemies really quickly. But there's also a potential that you run into a team of 3 rares. Is it going to happen? No, probably not that often, but a single rare popping up can, and they have way more health, so that adds probably another 10 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds, 5 if we're being super generous, on top of the pet battling time, because then something that you may normally be able to kill with like a single hit won't die in a single hit, so it's not 100% predictable in that way, and it still gives the same fixed experience every single time. Whereas a quest, if, like, again, been super generous, let's say it takes 30 seconds. I don't think it does, but okay. 30 seconds for a single pet battle, which is about a week quest, not even a full quest. So, like, how much does this breadcrumb? Tian Monastery doesn't give much, but, like, how much does my Peak of Serenity quest give? Like, 104 right now. So, less than that. And a Pandaran Mining Pick is underground, so that's one of the rare shared ones. I'm not actually sure what the fastest way to get here would be on foot. Probably this, just walking. Obviously, in the last time I really did this was in MoP Remix, where you just fly. But this probably would be the fastest way to get there. I don't think there's another on-foot path, unless you took the long way and crossed the bridge, but taking the direct path would be more efficient for sure. I don't think it particularly matters, but yeah, so let's say it takes that. In that amount of time, you could do like 3 efficient quests in, 30 seconds or so each, and it would take like a total time of like 1:30, and you're also killing a bunch of mobs, ideally, and getting the mob kill experience. And, even in a perfect scenario, with like the average questing experience, and some quest hubs are even better than that, you're still losing out because of mob kill XP, so it's, in my opinion, not that fast. But also not the worst, so. Damn it. I hate trying to get through here because the terrain is always really janky.
You are most welcome.
Greetings.
And yeah, the orange quest. The initial Tian Monastery quest may not seem really good, but it branches off, or like I guess explodes is a better way, into like multiple different sub-quests after this one, and they are all pretty good. And there's a few different quests where your only job is to do roleplay stuff, but the roleplay can be skipped. So the quest is assuming you're watching like the full multiple minutes of roleplay, but there is literally like a skip dialogue option, which admittedly I haven't tested it in Classic, but I'm imagining that it's not like a retail thing. They don't like indiscriminately add dialogue skips. A lot of the ones that work in retail still were always in the game. These should drop. Yeah, they drop a bunch of oranges. We're gonna do this. The last one is over here. And I should probably be using this more often, but it's my nitro boosts. It's my Tiger's Lust. Now I can just mount up the rest of the way.
Oh, hello.
And so you can see there's a bunch of different quests over here, but they pop up immediately after this. And then I want to make sure I pick the right one. Skip to the good part. Let's move on to the fighting. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Technically, it's not a full quest's worth of experience, but it is still a decent chunk for basically just hitting a dialogue skip option. And this is where it gets good. This is where the mission quests are. Battle ready. Right, yeah, you to fight TM pupils. As usual, you can just grab a bunch of them at once. Okay, and yeah, I didn't get all of them. It's fine. Probably should have in hindsight, but big deal. Also haven't really been using my gloves. Have this, and then gives me yeah, 2 quests. I can't remember. I think that might be it for this one. That's fine. Especially if your monk can... I'm not going to TOD this guy, because I've already DPS'd him a little bit. Maybe I should have, but... There. It's always weird with Tiger's Lust. I'm pretty sure there's a macro that's, like, flexible with how you use it, but... I can't make, like, a pure self-target macro for it, just because there are times where you do actually want to use it on somebody else. But it's just unfortunate that you never want to use it on an NPC, but unfortunately that sometimes happens. Not always, but you never know for sure which ones count, which ones don't. Grab the flight path while I'm here, why not? And then, oh yeah, there is a third one. Right, but it's at the end. Cool. I have no idea what Throw Brew does, but I don't want to find out. Stun. Okay, it's just light damage. Yeah, hopefully you can see that's really, 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 really good. Really, 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 really good. Pretty dense set of quests. What are the bracers I got? Yeah, 384. So, I'm not gonna replace anything in Jade Forest, I think. Proper weapon. This is the fastest way to get it. You just rob this dude. But then there's, yeah, I need to... buy triple bittered ale, and then buy black walnut extract. Cool. And boom, once again, it splits off into 3 quests. Yeah, so this is, you just kill a bunch of mobs over there, and then we're going to grab the cauldron one. Kind of sucks. But I'm trying to think, what would be the fastest way to do this? I think we probably do the training one last, just because we're already in this general area. But this one I'll do first, Test of Endurance.
Hello.
Here. Fireworks. And it takes a little while to get people to come and attack you. Another weird thing about Jade Forest is, you may have noticed, there's a lot of travel time in between quests. The layout of the zone is just so weird, because there's, like, so much, like, varied terrain in terms of, like, altitude and stuff that makes it really annoying to cross. like, getting to Tian Monastery, in theory, it's not that far from Dawn's Blossom, but you kind of need to go out of the way, and then it's, like, uphill, and navigating, like, these areas, there's, like, a bunch of hills in the way and stuff like that. It's really annoying to actually get to all of these hubs. The moment you're leveling your second character and you have flying, it actually massively improves Jade Forest, because, like, Kunlai Summit, it's just quest hub, quest hub, quest hub, quest hub, back to back, in, like, a pretty linear way. The only somewhat annoying quests in Kunlai are Xiaoqin Village, all the way up north, because you have to take, like, the hot air balloon to get all the way up to it. And those I usually skip. I'm planning to skip while leveling. It's not bad, but it takes too long to get to it to really make it worth it. And there's so many good quest hubs in Kunlai that it's like, why would you bother? But Jade Forest, it's like, if you follow the main campaign, it will kind of direct you through it, but it's still a lot of walking. And technically speaking, like, Valley of the Four Winds has some travel time, but there's, like, quests that transition you from one area to another, instead of just being, like, a breadcrumb where you go there, which ironically means that Valley is not that bad. Doing, like, almost the entirety of Valley is not bad on your first character, because you're gonna have to walk everywhere anyways, so it's not, you know, much of a time loss. But Valley becomes significantly worse once you have flying, which, you know, back in the day in MoP you didn't, but this time around you will have it on alts. So
What is your hurry?
that's
Focused.
like a pretty noticeable difference. Right, yeah, to pick it up here.
What do you need?
Yeah, okay, so it was good that I did that first, because then it overlaps with these quests here. Also, I never realized, is that a Mentalist reference? It's a quest where you kill tigers, and it's called Burning Bright. I guess technically no, it's like based on a poem or something, but that's like the Red John catchphrase of like tiger, tiger. I think Mentalist probably came out around the same time as Miss Pandaria. It actually would make sense if that's what it was based off of. So didn't I? Was I like in combat so it failed to collect or something like that? And I guess on that note, if somehow anyone watching this has not seen The Mentalist, like, it's a somewhat old show at this point, but I mean, it's still very, 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 very good. Highly recommend. I've killed all the tigers I need, so I can avoid them from here on out. Ah, my stagger is breaking it. Okay, that's interesting. Hmm. Okay, and yeah, you gotta do the entire channel to make it really effective. Okay, how do I do this then? I can paralysis that. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna Todd this fucker. Yeah, I'm running Glyph of Todd, so... Fucking stagger. Okay, yeah, oh, right, Purifying Brew clears all stagger. So I could just Purify. In retail, it doesn't work like that, so I'm used to the retail version where it doesn't fully clear your stagger. Also, I don't think stagger interrupts stuff like this, though. Generally, stagger damage doesn't count as, like, breaking channels in retail, but... that's one of those little quirks of MoP that I'm not fully used to yet. If I paralysis that, it shouldn't put me in combat. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I feel like more areas of Jade Forest will end up being effective for alt speed leveling. Was, I guess, the main point that I was trying to make there. But it really suffers from the travel time problems. Because, like, think about it this way. Tian Monastery is basically just a stone's throw away from the Horde starting area, and because it has no pre-quests, you could, in theory, just the moment that you're done with all the Horde stuff, fly over the mountains and come here. In fact, I'm 99% sure that in my MoP Remix questing runs, eventually, obviously, the final iteration of my MoP Remix runs was like an abomination of like crazy speedrun tech mashed together, for anybody who remembers those. But early on, when I was trying to figure out like an effective questing path, before my eyes were opened and I saw how broken some of the MoP Remix tricks were, I think this is actually the route that I had planned. You do the intro stuff for Horde, and then you fly over and do Tian Monastery. Tian Monastery I included in every single one of my things. That being said, in Remix, actually, Tian Monastery was the location for the little vendor hub in Jade Forest. So you actually didn't even need to do that technically, because you could buy a teleport there to the vendor hub, which was literally in this hub in Tian Monastery. So it just saved you a trip. Clash. Come on. Save a little bit of time there. Okay, that's all 10. And then this quest kind of sucks. Now, I'm going to do it, obviously. But because we're all the way out here, this is the furthest that you end up going as part of Tian Monastery. This is where I said you can kind of dip into this area and take a peek for Morgan Crack thing. And if you get here really early, it could be especially worth it because there are 2 treasures in this area. So you have the chance to get, you know, triple dip, right? And even just beyond raw experience values, it's nice because you have, is that? Yeah, that's Morgan Crack thing. Fuck yeah. I'm stuck. Okay. I don't know why I got stuck there. Let's look for Hammer of the Ten Thunders. One of the potential spawn points is around here. I don't see it, though. I'm gonna just pull a bunch of mobs because, like, may as well. I'm gonna stand in this so you can see. Yeah, that ate my entire guard. So, these guys do not fuck around. Be very careful with those abilities if you are not super geared. I would say the Mohu are probably some of the easier ones, though, because you have ample time to dodge that big frontal. Like, what, you just walk through it, you're good to go. It hits hard, but, like, just don't get hit. Forehead. The problem with the Hosen ones, the Mantid and the Hosen, in my opinion, are... Actually, Mantid, Hosen, and Pandar are all pretty equally hard, because the Hosen, I think, is probably the easiest out of those, but there are situations... You're fucking joking. You're fucking joking. Why do I get 2 rare items on my fucking PTR test run? Whatever. One of these is BOE, so getting that day 1 would actually be insane. I think it's a crossbow. So if you get the BOE crossbow, that would be bonkers strong, because then you could sell that on the auction house for a shitload of money. It's higher item level than the best in slot bow. I'm not sure how good the Deathwing bow is, so maybe hunters wouldn't want to replace it if they have a heroic one, but... I'm not seeing Hammer of the Ten Thunders. There might be more spawn locations, I think, in the east over here. I don't remember exactly, but I'm not going to bother going to check them. Especially because there is a good chance, like, there are people on the beta who want to get those treasures. It's not inconceivable. And the treasures usually have a much longer respawn timer than the rares. Rares are like a few hours. The treasures can be like up to 10 hours in some extreme cases, so... Yeah, it's, very unlikely to actually find any of them. Yeah. This one has been taken. Which makes sense, right? There's people in the beta right now, obviously, who already have flying in their alts. Technically, I could give this character flying, but, like, that would defeat the purpose. I'm trying to simulate day 1. So, if you're Horde, yeah, and you have flying, pop over, grab the treasure, but that will not apply on launch day. So... I think I'm going to do... I've demonstrated most of the stuff I wanted to. Obviously, I'm not going to do the entirety of Jade Forest, and kind of the point of my guide is don't do the entirety of Jade Forest, but I've kind of shown all the really important stuff, and I'll show the entirety of Tian Monastery just because this is a really good hub, and I do recommend doing this. This one's interesting. If you get too far, it'll stun you, and the thing will catch up. But you can just keep running. It's pretty forgiving. You can't mount up, though, I think. You can, actually. Never mind. I'm a fucking idiot. Why did I think you can't mount up? Doesn't it stun you if you go too far? Am I thinking of a different quest? There's, like, multiple quests in Pandaria where you have to lug around these gigantic pots. I might just be gaslighting myself. I guess. Okay. I must be confusing this with a different lug a pot around quest. There's definitely one where if you go too far, it, like, stuns you. But this is fine. I don't know what flying colors is, though. It's always weird where I'm pretty sure that's, like, later on in the chain. Wait, just for testing purposes, can I just run all the way to the end, and do I get credit? Ah, okay, right. I knew there was some gimmick. This one is, if you go too far, it snaps, and then you have to go all the way back. Right. So, you have seen science. Do not do this at home. Do the quest correctly. And that means that you might be able to just go there immediately the moment you're in range, but it's difficult to risk it. Looks like it bugged out, though. So I'll have to abandon it and start again. Which is fine, because normally I'd be like, whatever, it's a demonstration run, and there are some other things that I want to quickly show, but I do want to show the entirety of Tian Monastery, warts and all. And the end has some additional good quests that require you to do all 3 of these little hubs. So I am just going to go ahead and take the L and grab the quest and do it again. That's unfortunate that it bugged out, though.
Speak up. White Tiger watch over you. Enough.
And the right way this time. I guess technically whether or not you're mounted doesn't really matter, because moving faster is irrelevant if it can only go at the speed of, you know, if it has a fixed pace, I guess, then you can't realistically speed it up anyway. Get a little bit of a head start, that way during the mount cast animation. We're just gonna play it safe. I'm gonna stay enough ahead that I'm not losing time, potentially. I'm gonna try to go through the hills, just because I normally don't try this just because you gotta turn in the other quests anyway, so there's not really a reason to do it this way. But I'm just curious if this would theoretically work. Looks like it does. It's... also might be able to go up that slope if you hit the right angle. Yeah. I think theoretically if I jumped, I could catch that cliff, but I'm not going to sit here and try and test that. Okay, if I get there, it's fine. So you can risk it a little bit and run ahead when you're close to the end. And then the moment that you reach the NPC... But I'm pretty sure the crate still needs to be following you. This was the MoP Remix little hub. That house over there.
What do you need?
This one... This is like a little bit annoying, but that's fairly easy. He does stomp. Just play Simon Says. Stomp again. I can't remember if you have to do it insta. No, yeah. The timing on this is funky. You can't immediately do it. You have to wait for the other students to do it, and then you punch. Right. So I got lucky the first time and happened to fall into that window. And wait for them. Punch. As long as you wait, like, 2 Mississippi, I think it's fine. Let's see. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Stomp again. Ah, but I was actually too slow that time. Or no, oh, I'm stupid. Okay, I did it too fast, and I've been doing growl for a kick. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, well, I'm like double dumb. Let's kick. Alright, let's do it 2 Mississippi. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Alright. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. If this quest was in a vacuum, it would suck, but obviously you need to do this stuff to get to the, I don't know why the timing didn't work there. It's really finicky. One more. There we go. Get me the fuck out of this quest. Oy, oy, oy. That's kind of the story of, MoP Classic leveling, or MoP leveling in general. Very mixed bag. You have the, like, the trainee quests, like we saw, that are really, 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 really good. Then you have ones like these. What? What's this? Do they take more damage? Oh, I'm supposed to be fighting these. See, this is a funny thing. Every time I've done this on retail, the scaling does not work properly, so all of them are scaled to fixed value, so I run over here, just instantly kill these two, and then run back. But you're supposed to be fighting these. Ah, I see. I don't know if it particularly matters. Like, wouldn't it not matter? If the other ones don't have the debuff, then why would you even waste your time fighting these if you can just hit both of them? Couldn't you theoretically kill... No. I guess it doesn't really matter. They all get the debuff? Okay. It's just weird. Huh. Okay, well then, this particular quest is significantly worse than I thought, because on retail, this is always just a, you know, you kill 2 mobs, and then fuck off further down the chain, but this sucks. Now, I hope that you can see, the rest of this hub, no matter what, is worth doing. They are good quests. And hey, you know, this is still worth it if you've done the rest of it, and you have fuck all else to do if the zone is crowded. But... yeah, I would never do this in a speedrun. This would not be worth the time. I'd still do the efficient Tian Monastery quest, especially because they're so close to the Horde area with flying, but... like, I won't be doing this on launch day, just because I'll be dungeon spamming anyways, but... obviously, it should go without saying that I can't simulate... I can't really simulate dungeon spam on the beta, at least easily. All the people that I'm going to be doing it with don't have the beta, so I could like queue for random dungeons and hope to get it, but I figured that because I'm going to be only dungeon spamming tomorrow, it actually would work out well if I did kind of this questing semi-recommendation here. That way, anybody who doesn't want to spam has this to use as a reference. Okay, flying colors, there we go. So that was the questy thing, except I don't turn it in. Oh, I see. The final one of those sub-quest lines that you do is the one that gives you flying colors. But any of them could theoretically offer it. It's just that since I did that one last... I see. Okay. Neat. And then I believe I turned it in here. Yeah. Because it has his location because he starts there in like the first phase. But this is his actual location. See, that gives me another big chunk of XP for free. And it also gives me a weapon, which is worse than my current weapons, but not bad. And that is, I believe, the entirety of the Tian Monastery questline. Pretty good, overall. Not too shabby. Okay, where am I at in terms of experience? Yeah, okay, we're about at that time. I did pick up the flight path, right? Fly back to Dawn's Blossom.
Welcome.
And should go without saying that you don't automatically unlock these flight paths. I grabbed them as I was going, but you could not just fly from Dawn's Blossom to Tian Monastery. I did actually check that when I was poking around before doing this test. Unfortunately, that does not work. There's some other things that you could do. I'm not sure if the Arboretum is locked behind prereqs. A lot of these are. Like, all of these quests, you eventually go here as part of the main chain after you do all the stuff at the Hosen area. You get sent here. And you can see none of those are actually showing up for me. The quest that sends you down to this section is available. Technically speaking, by the way, this is not a terrible quest hub. So, like, Alliance players can do these side quests. They're not bad. But, like, if you're a Horde player, you have to go all the way down here. And, yeah, that's not really worth it, I would say. See, this is the one I'm talking about. Sent you down there. I'll quickly double check, because it's on the way anyways. I guess I should say, what I'm going to do for the rest of this is I'm going to do solo trash runs of Temple of the Jade Serpent, which, of course, is something that a lot of people plan on doing for leveling. And, honestly, it's probably better than Jade Forest questing, but I don't want to show it here because, like, or extensively as the main strategy, because it's not going to be something that you will be able to reliably do unless you're like a tank. I could definitely do it. I think more people are planning on doing Stormstout Brewery monkey runs, is what they're calling it. So that is definitely an option, and although it does require a bit of travel time to actually get out there, I do think it's probably better in the long term. You would probably want to set your Hearthstone here, so you'd head through Valley, you'd set your Hearthstone here, and then run over to Stormstout Brewery, which is, yeah, here. Decently long run, but then that way, the moment you hit 86, I mean, some people are going to spam this the entire way, and I guess you could do that if you really wanted to. You definitely want to switch to Kunlai at 87, I feel, but for the first two levels, yeah, you could probably get away with this. Also, you can see here, this quest hub is not bad. It's pretty solid. There's also, ooh, interesting, an inscription trainer here. So, you know, fun little fact for anybody who wants to learn their inscription on the fly to get their Scrolls of Wisdom going. You can do this in this little hub if you want to take a slight detour instead of having to go through the main city. Probably still faster to learn it in the main city, but good to know that that exists. If you maybe forgot to pick up the training. Show this rare mob, just because, why not? I'm not really going to farm the, like, Jade Serpent extensively. I'll farm it up to 86, but it doesn't really matter showing, like, exactly how much mission experience it is. I'm more doing it for practice and just for demonstration purposes. But yeah, I think Temple of the Jade Serpent is technically not bad compared to Stormstout, but I believe people have been saying that by the numbers, Stormstout tends to be faster if you pull it off correctly. So, something to keep in mind, I guess. That is something you can consider. Just pop the fucker. Okay, I didn't get the epic drop this time. It would have been kind of ludicrous if I got it 3 times in a row. And unfortunately, if you are doing the solo farm strat, you will need to walk over there yourself. And that's something that you do need to take into account, right? You are eating like 5 minutes of time to go all the way over there. It's definitely better if you have flying for like second characters. I still think it'll probably be an optimal method on launch day just because of how crowded the zones will be, but you know, something to consider. Random dungeons, I think, with a pre-made might honestly be better. I know people really like the idea of monkey runs, but I think that if you have a super optimized pre-made group, which I have a decently optimized pre-made group with my friends, but they are, I mean, they're good players, but they have not like practiced this or anything, so I'm not expecting us to do like any crazy like dungeon completion times, but we'll do it well. And considering we're going to have decently optimized strats for full clearing it, and we're still going to be getting a good amount of mob kill XP, and the extra dungeon completion bonus, which is not nothing, right? This is basically like 2 full quests. It's definitely lower, relatively speaking, compared to how dungeon completion bonuses work for lower level scaling, but it's still fine. And it is still a notable extra chunk of experience if you're getting really fast dungeon clears, which, in a full optimized group, you can. And it should go without saying that no matter what, you will want to get these quests done. Like, that, hopefully, is pretty obvious. You will want to be doing that. I'm going to re-up my food buff and stuff. And I've seen different, suggestions on how you want to go about this in terms of I'm gonna personally throw my banner down over there. Actually, I'll throw my banner down here because that's what I'll be doing for the purposes of my group. So, right, I'm stupid. I can't use the banners because of guild rep. I already. Yeah. This is where I would throw down my banners if I had them. But I think a lot of people like to go the other way just because it's a lot easier. These mobs can be a little bit more annoying, but the strategy that I'm planning on doing with my guilds is we are running 4 DPS. Yeah, so we're running 4 DPS or actually, 3 DPS and 2 tanks. No healer is the important takeaway. We were gonna run a healer just because, honestly, the time difference is not that big and it's safer, usually. Problem is, all of our healers canceled. So we had one healer in our guild that was going to run with us, and then he misunderstood the time that servers were going live, so then he messaged last night to say, like, oh shit, sorry, I actually won't be able to run with you guys. And then I asked all the other healers in our guilds, and they were all busy. So then, out of options, I asked our rep paladin, who is, good, but I thought we were full in DPS, but I was like, hey, do you want to just, like, throw Word of Glories onto the other tank? And then you guys 4-man one section? I might actually, we'll see how it goes, but I honestly don't think they need 4 people for one area. Initially, I was like, oh, it's, if I'm, like, soloing this, I would rather, okay, I fucked that up. Okay, I needed to kite a lot better. This is good practice for me, right? Because theoretically, if I got fucking slammed like that on launch day, that would have been bad. Very doable. I needed to roll earlier and start kiting with Keg Smash. I just ate way too many autos to the face. I'm playing greedy and I'm not building my shuffle, which, like, you should be building your shuffle, but I'm just not, because it's like, technically you don't need to. You don't need to if you do enough damage, right? Breath of Fire does a lot, and if I can kite, then I won't need to take damage, so it won't matter if I build shuffle or not. But I need to play better. Basically, TLDR, I need to stop yapping and lock the fuck in. But yeah, I think I might bring 1 DPS, because initially I'm like, yeah, I know that my friend who's playing Bear is not going to be doing a ton of damage, so I don't want to put, like, too much responsibility on him to, like, carry that side. So I was like, oh, we'll have, like, 2 DPS, Okay, I'm getting destroyed. Right, I cannot do that pull. Yeah, it's... doing the double little Shaw packs, I'm just taking so much magic damage from those Shaw Screeches that it's just completely ignoring my mitigation. Alright, so this is just... I'm being way too aggressive with those. I just can't do all of them at once. Which is fine. This is one of the other main reasons why I did this. I want to limit test these pulls. I think that's another reason why people usually just go left, because there's still a decent amount of mobs, and they're a lot easier to tank. The little Shaws are a pain in the ass. But I want to take the harder segment, but I think this has at least confirmed to me that I'm going to bring one of the DPS with me. I will put the Ret Paladin with the other tank because he'll need a little bit more help. You know, if I'm not doing stupid stuff, I shouldn't need extensive help. But I think as long as I have one good DPS with me, and then I guess the question is, who do I want to bring? I think I bring our Warlock. I think that would be good. I bring our Warlock, and then I put the Fire Mage and Ret Paladin with the Bear. And I think they should be good. Because the Warlock's also, like, you know, relatively tanky, right? Yeah, if I can nuke the Lesser Shah, even then... Jesus. I could just diffuse magic here. I should be diffusing magic here because the damage is magic. Oh my god, this is brutal. Yeah, it's all magic. Even the fucking... it has a bubble spray thing. Fuck. That is insane. Yeah, I guess it definitely indicates that I diffuse there. The one thing I'm not sure is the crane. Does that have a magic as well? If I scroll up far enough, I should be able to see it. I'm only seeing the talking fish here. I don't know if the crane actually managed to hit me. Yeah, talking fish is just fucking my shit up. Songbird Queen's melee swing. I think it's just melees on that one. Okay. But yeah, if I stun them, especially if they're dying basically twice as fast because I have a DPS with me, that will make things significantly easier. Because magic damage especially just absolutely fucks Brewmaster. At this iteration, they have nothing to deal with it, realistically. Unless I'm running Glyph of Guard, which... Can you even get Glyph of Guard? No, you can't. Relevance. Put down at my... Well, I've already killed the rest of them. I'm just gonna solo the talking fish here. Also, I wonder if it's worth using Chi Wave. Probably not, just because I think Chi Burst is more damage in these ideal situations. Chi Wave is obviously significantly better healing. So for situations like this, Chi Wave would be really nice. But then, for those big AoE pulls, it would suck to not have Chi Burst, which just does monstrous damage. I'm not gonna taunt this. The Hunting Shaws do decent AoE, but I'm gonna risk it and do this pull anyways. Gonna pop a guard here. Songbird Queen. Always just kite if needed. That is just an option available to me. Which I'm probably going to do that a lot more on launch. Because the main reason that we want to do this, obviously, is this saves time. Right, there, I don't know, it's debatable. It's debatable because also then the boss will still need to be killed. So there is definitely a question of how worth it is this. I think if we had two, like, super duper geared hit squads that I knew could reasonably kill both bosses at the same time, maybe. But I don't really think soloing the boss fight is a feasible option. So I think what might be a better idea is we just do, like, we let them go down there and do that pull of trash. I hook left, I do, like, a big pull here, I pop, like, all of my defensives to live that. And then after doing that, then I basically just, I do a big pull here, clear out a bunch of the mobs, and then I use my Nitro Boost to just hook back to them, and then after killing one pack, they should be about to pull the boss, and with Nitro Boost, I could probably get caught up. The question then is, do I still bring our Warlock meta with me? I'm going to test the boss just to see if I can solo this. I probably could, but I don't think this would be efficient. And if I'm being honest with myself, I am actually probably the highest DPS among us, except maybe Meta. Meta's Warlock probably would do more single target than me. But I don't think our Mage or Ret Paladin are super geared, whereas my Monk is, like, insanely decked out. So not having me there for boss damage would actually, I think, impact the kill time too much for it to be worth it. I can but fire these, okay. I should probably do this, and then I can pick up these Haunting Shaw. This. I think I let Tiger Palm drop, so not ideal. It's fine. I might be in one of these puddles. It might be clipping through the floors. Sometimes that happens. These magic attacks are fucking brutal. This is definitely... like, possibly this is doable, but this would not be worth it, and this is really sketchy. And the other thing is, even if it is theoretically possible, I've already made some mistakes, right? And I will have more practice going into launch, of course. But if I do make a mistake and lose a Darkmoon Fair buff, it's not like a, oh shucks, oh well, I guess I lose my Darkmoon Fair buff. That really sucks. That massively hurts me. I cannot take things that actually give me a reasonable risk of death. I cannot take that chance. Oh my god, and Zal fucks hard. This I'm gonna need Shuffle for, and then the moment I get dropped down, I need to immediately Expel Harm. My energy is fucked. I fucked up. I don't know, I hit Jab instead of Expel Harm. I probably still would have been dead anyway, but... yeah. I should have only been hitting Expel Harm there. I energy starved myself a little bit. Not ideal, but for the record, right? I just want to make something clear. You only ever kill mobs and then reset for these types of runs. You never actually try to kill the bosses. I only did that as like a scientific experiment of like, could I do that? And the answer is no. So it's definitely not worth it for me to go ahead and do that. But I do think it would be worth it for me to do a singular pull, just get like some of the mobs out of the way. And then night... would it be... I don't know. And then potentially they're also missing out on mob kill experience, so also, like, who cares? It does make Jade Forest or Jade Temple slightly slower, but I'm just... I don't know, kind of like whatever about it. It's fine. It's fine. I do not really care that much. I'll probably just send it. I think I'll still do double tank just in case, because the middle courtyard here is actually very spooky. So I will probably tell my co-tank to go right and I'll go left. And that actually would help by having a second tank, especially with no healer. I also, in theory, I could have, like, prepped healing spheres for that. There's things I could have done. I definitely could have done that better. Now I'm going to do this part. But as you can see here, this is not for the faint of heart. This is not the type of thing that you want to be doing if you're not a tank. It will hurt. Yeah, okay, these mobs are, like, significantly easier. All they do is auto-attack. Yeah. We definitely, if I were to split up, I definitely would not need most of my group on that one side. God, I still don't think it would be worth it, though. And the other thing is, I know, like, they don't have Nitro Boost, so in theory, we can maybe pull, like, a little bit extra. Like, if everybody had Nitro Boost, then they could just run back over to the other side, but I don't think they do. Or actually, rather, I know most of them don't. Our Warlock might. I haven't checked with him, but it doesn't particularly matter. But yeah, I mean, it's decent experience, especially if you do it quickly. And I think you could probably... Obviously, I'm going to keep doing this, keep getting practice. I'll test the strategy that I just described. And you run out, reset all instances, run back in. So I'll try hooking right. Because those first few pulls were honestly not that bad. I did not think they were a challenge. You would drop banner here. I would call for somebody to drop banner. And then I think killing these mobs, maybe. The Haunting Shaw do decent damage, but it's nothing that bad. And I have, like, all my cooldowns here, so I can get through it pretty easily. Stun them if needed. Can even do that. Even then, though, the Haunting Shaw are fucking me up. Steps there a little bit too early. The main issue would be there's so much roleplay in both of these fights that's why in a perfect world you would want to do both of them at the same time. Because then, like, getting the roleplay ticking down all at once would balance things out, I feel. But now that I see this, I'm just thinking to myself, I don't realistically see a world in which this is a meaningful time save, and it would just be faster for me to help my group murder these more effectively. I also don't have my statue down. Oopsie. Yeah, it would technically slightly reduce the value of my my tank friend being there. But like I said, I still think it would help. And also, we don't have the option of running a healer, right? So if we're not having a healer, then I think 2 tanks is the safest anyway, because then he can just taunt off, like, scary mobs if I'm getting fucked. Like, I can tell him for the, for that next room, I'll be like, oh, hey, make sure you just taunt the, what's it called? The fish off me, and he can take the fish. And that's, like, easy enough for him to make sure he has threat on, because it's just a single target taunt. And then I'll just get AoE threat on all of the, what's it called? All the little Sha guys. In both cases, we should be fine. And then I think if we're doing it like that and the mobs are dying really quickly, survivability shouldn't be too much of a concern. But it's nice to have the Ret Paladin there just in case, and I'll just tell him to keep an eye out. I'm not sure exactly how the Paladin healing talents work. I know they have some stuff like, is it Sacred Shield or, like, Eternal Flame? I haven't really messed around with Paladin much at all in MoP, so I'm not sure on the exact details of how that stuff works, but I think, his off-healing would definitely be beneficial. Let's do this. It's also... I kind of like running Ascension in dungeons a little bit, just because you can spam more spinning crane kicks, and it does a significant portion of your overall. I think it's less important at level 90 when you have rushing Jade Winds, but I'm not entirely sure. I know for single target, I don't really like Ascension. I'm generally way overcapped on energy, especially with the level of haste that I have. But situations like this, I wouldn't mind having a bit more haste. But I think actually by that logic, it would probably be better for me to just stay running Chibru and just reforge my gear, because I have like a fuckload of crit, which is good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. But I could reforge maybe some of that crit into a little bit more haste, because I have only 1,700 haste, which is nice, but it's not nearly as much, and the reason for that is because I have this trinket, Starcatcher Compass, which, while not a great trinket in a vacuum on like single targets, so in Heroic Dragon Soul, it's really good because whenever that thing procs, I'm basically haste capped. I'm sometimes even overcapping haste. I'm just regenning energy so fucking fast. It's actually crazy. So because of that trinket, it was basically impractical for me to run any additional haste, simply because I would just overcap so quickly. Put up the guard. Put up Shuffle for old time's sake. And we're gonna do this. Gotta be careful and playing. Play a little bit risky here. But I think we're fine. And you can see, this is good experience. The main reason why this is good, you will get instance capped. I think it's like 6 resets an hour, which that's kind of the main limiting factor. But there is a case to be made of maybe you do Tian Monastery and then, unironically, do this if you can't get into a dungeon. Because it's not terrible. I think the problem with Jade Serpent is, while the amount of experience you get for this amount of time is good, it is relatively short. So I think the issue is that you get locked faster. I'm pretty sure it is, on paper, comparable to Storm Stout, but because Storm Stout has more mobs, it takes a little bit longer, but like it lasts longer too, which means that you end up having more overall experience per hour because you spend less time waiting on resets, which I think is where the pep battle thing comes in. I haven't looked into it too closely, but because I've mostly seen people discuss pep battles outside Stormstat Brewery, I've just kind of put 2 and 2 together of like, oh, they're doing that in between runs. I guess that makes sense. It's awkward. I guess maybe the reason why they're doing pep battling is just there really isn't much else that you could do in that period of time, I guess. So, because like, you want to have something to do. Theoretically, mob grinding might be the best, but there's not going to be many good mob grinding spots, so I guess the logic is like pep battling is a low contest thing that you can do in between queues, instead of having to like fight over a mob grind spot. I do feel that definitely one thing that you could do in between queues while you're in Valley, though, is if you're doing monkey runs, if you get locked out, instead of pep battling, you could, like, after Stormstar Brewery, go down here and do the Hemet Nessingwary stuff. I believe that doesn't have any prereqs. You could go do that immediately. So do all these quests, then go back. By that point, your lockout should be reset. Do your monkey runs again. Then go out here, do the stuff in, I forget what this place is called. But the stuff by the wall, this is a pretty good set of quests. Then, once again, come back. There are other, obviously, good hubs in Valley, but a lot of them are in the east, right? But these are 2 really good hubs that you'll ideally want to do, and they're close enough to Storm Stout that you could, like, mount up, go there, and you should be fine. So, I think that would be probably a good use of your time, if that is your goal. Alright, we're like barely off. So I'm going to go ahead and... That's a lore walker object, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and just head over to Valley of the Four Winds. I'm not going to do Valley of the Four Winds. It's pretty linear, obviously it'll cover in my guide. And I kind of throughout this video, talked about some of the stuff that you'll be wanting to do there. But the main thing that I think I said I wanted to check is where the gear vendor is. I think he's in the first area, but I can't remember. So I want to jog my memory on that. There's so many things that There's a few, now that I'm thinking of it, like small little details. Like I don't think I mentioned the alt flying in my leveling guide. It's not finished yet, so I can still add that. But I need to go in and do that. And officially in 12 hours, at the time of recording, give or take, the servers will be up. So I gotta put the finishing touches on my guide in that time and get it published. Thankfully, it's not like a super long guide, relatively. The current expansion ones generally aren't. I think out of all of the current expansion guides I've done, my War Within one, honestly, is probably going to end up being the longest, just because War Within leveling is, like, so intricate. And the funny thing about that is, that was a long-ish guide. It was, like, 18 minutes or something, and I actually had to make multiple, like, sub-videos on, like, niche subjects, like delve things, just because I know not everybody would care about that, but even then there's just so much to cover, so many different, like, little ways to level, but there's only so many ways that you can say, when you hit level 89, go to the Dread Wastes, you know, get here by going up on the wall, blah, 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 and then do every quest. And then the only stuff that you don't do is Soggy's Gamble. Like, that's Dread Wastes. Do literally everything except this stuff. And even, like, the first few quests in Soggy's Gamble are not bad. But the main chain here is not good. But everything else, yeah, Dread Waste is just a good zone, and you gotta do it for rep, so it's like, do everything. And honestly, the order doesn't particularly matter. It's like you'll have travel around the zone as you go, so it's... This is one of the rares I was talking about, by the way. He's stealthed, but it's out of the way here. You want to watch out for Blade Flurry. This is a killer. You stand in that, it will kill you very, very, very quickly. The last thing you want to do is manage to get lucky enough to find a rare mob and then die to one of the attacks. That would be a huge feels bad moment, and everybody would point and laugh at you. Don't be that guy. I think, actually, if memory serves, this is the one that drops the Agi weapon, so it would be funny if I managed to get it. I did not, but imagine. That happens on launch day? Oh, baby. I am set. Yeah, that is 86. I guess I'll stop my timer because this is mostly just for the first level. Now, obviously, I fucked around a little bit, and like I said, this isn't even exactly what I'm going to do on launch. But hopefully you can see that even if you're just doing, like, the pre-quests and a pretty standard path through Jade Forest, like, if I only did the Jade Serpent stuff at the very end, but if you're not doing that, then I would say do Arboretum, do Necrobreeze Village, something in there. Realistically, well, you should do dungeons, right? That is the correct solution. Do random dungeons, get your quest done. That would have more than covered the remaining bit. But if you're not doing dungeons, there's more than enough quest hubs to cover it. And then obviously, if you're not doing pre-quests that only amounted to, like, what, like this far into the level, then, you know, just do some other shit. The main issue is, like, Jade Forest obviously is not in a super efficient zone outside of Tian Monastery, but the bigger issue is going to be bottlenecking on launch day that's going to really slow it down. And, yeah, it is at the start. Okay. I thought that was the case. I was pretty sure that it's, like, every single one of these vendors is located right at the beginning. Cool, cool. Yeah, some fun little stuff that I plan on doing, I guess, just to close things out, is... I am planning on, with my alt account, I'm going to send my character over to Dread Wastes and try to get this thing, Malik's Stalwart Spear, because that's a 450 item that you can use at 86. So as I'm dungeon spamming with my guildies, it should take like about an hour, and then I'm going to go on one of my alliance characters, and on my like alt account alliance character, I'm going to get to the gunship, I'm going to jump off the gunship, Path of Frost, and then just do this. All the way around Dread Wastes. While I'm here, I'll check for the Swarming Cleaver, and then I'm going to run up here and go straight to Malik Stalwart Spear, and I believe that is the fastest way to get there, I think. The path that I'm doing for Horde, because I don't have that many Alliance characters, so I think it is faster for Alliance to just... Alliance DK, that is, or anyone with Water Walking, just Path of Frost run all the way here. A lot of these islands you can just beeline through because they don't have hostile mobs, so you can just kind of hook, take a really efficient path, and get to Dread Wastes faster. For Horde, I jump off the airship, I jump into the water on my DK, and then I run up to the cliff over here in Kun Lai, at the bottom of it, and the moment I zone into Kun Lai, I Deathgate, wait a minute, Deathgate back, it takes me to a graveyard up here, and then I run across here, and then when I get to the wall, I run up Coda Peak, and there's a space where you can jump from Coda Peak onto the wall. I jump there, land there, jump into Town Long, die from the fall damage, release, Spirit Healer res, like around here-ish? I forget the exact location within the Fog of War. And then from there, you just run down to Dread Wastes. Just do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Get the spear. That's the goal. Whether or not that works will depend on when the servers are live and how the loading in of the rare objects will work. In theory, they should be up, but you never know with Blizzard. So that's something I'm going to try and do. And because I have a Warlock army, I am going to, as I get my pre-quest turned in and run like a dungeon with some of my friends, I'm going to get my Warlocks funneled through the quests, and I'm just going to get them to Honeydew Village. I'm going to jump off the cliff, and I guess, I don't know if they'll be able to live the fall. I don't think any of them have slow fall stuff, so probably not, but I could also just have them soulstone themselves, so it's not really that big of a deal. Land here, and then I'm going to have my Warlocks, like, 2 of them auto-follow the other one, and I'm just going to, like, because I have a new computer now, so I can use my laptop to, like, off to the side, I have a little desk set up, and as I'm doing this stuff, I'll just kind of move over and, with the second mouse, kind of, like, shift the direction that my Warlocks are running, and I'll be kind of, like, piloting them through the dangers while doing dungeons. I don't know how well this is going to go, by the way. This is, like, an insane amount of mental bandwidth to keep track of. And I'm going to get them to this treasure over here. And then whenever I finish a dungeon and my Warlocks get into place, I'm going to, like, tell my guildies, okay, like, break real quick, go unlock Pandaria, and they'll go do their Panda unlocks. And I'm going to quickly get invited by my Warlocks. I'm going to take a summon to the treasure. And then, obviously, at that point, I can leave group again, rejoin my guildies, and pick up the treasures. And then we'll rejoin, re-queue, and I'll run over here, pick them up. And then, as I'm picking up these treasures, I'll ideally try to get all 3 of them. And I'll be stranded over here on the island for the Panda Ritual Stone. But, as we're doing dungeons again, so, like, I basically get treasure, 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 and then enter a dungeon. And then I'm going to move my Warlocks down here, over this bridge, and get them to Dawn's Blossom. And, what's it called? In Dawn's Blossom, there is an anvil. So, that way, whenever, like, as I move, also, I forgot to say that one of my Warlocks, I leveled up both Herbalism and Mining. So I'm going to try to scrounge up as much Ghost Iron as possible. I haven't done the exact math, because it doesn't really matter that much, but I think I need about, like, 20-ish Ghost Iron bars, probably less, but that's, like, a safe amount, to reach 550 Engineering from where I'm at right now, which is 540. And if I get enough Ghost Iron bars, because then what you can do is you craft some bolts and gunpowder, and I don't have the recipe unlocked here, but I would be able to by talking to the trainer. So in that case, what I would do is that actually that's a great Zen meditation spot, or Zen pilgrimage, I mean. So I would, you know what? I should test that. Actually, I haven't thought about that, but I should test if I Zen pilgrimage out of Dawn's Blossom. Where does it take me? Because the idea there would be I go there, I Zen pilgrimage out. I could also just have my Warlock summon me back, so it's not that big of a deal. But in theory, Zen pilgrimage out. I could turn in my quest then and get the mastery buff, because, like, why not? And then I go to Orgrimmar, I learn all of the new recipes, and then I Zen pilgrimage, or actually, if I'm in Orgrimmar, I could just, actually, that, I'm to think that that's not necessary, is it? Yeah, no, Now that I talk through my setup, it's actually wholly unnecessary. Unless there's an engineering trainer in Dawn's Blossom, which there might be. I don't remember checking. But it actually makes... On my monk, it makes no sense. Because I could literally do the exact same thing I just described by using Zen Pilgrimage. And then just teleport out, do all my crafting in Orgrimmar, as long as I have the Ghost Iron, which I can then just give myself. I will need to trade myself the Ghost Iron, because the Warlocks are not on a connected account. So mail... Actually, no, but they're in the same guild. And we have instant mail, right? It's not shown here, but yeah, you have instant mail between guild members. So actually, I could do it, because they are gilded. So I could just mail myself that, get the Ghost Iron, and then the main reason I want to get to our 550 is because that's when you get Goblin Gliders. And Goblin Gliders, I mean, you're cooking with gas. Those things are fucking crazy. So having Goblin Glider from like 86 onwards would save a ton of time during questing, because it's faster than a flying mount. Basically, just get like a mini flying mount for periods of time. You'd also get Synapse Rings upgraded. So just really, really nice to have. So that's my goal. And then, obviously, as I do quests in Valley of the Four Winds, I would start, like, positioning my Warlocks into key locations. So, you know, I'm doing stuff in Valley, I could start moving my Warlocks down here to, like, the end part of Valley, and I could take a summon there, and then I'll have, like, my Warlocks set their Hearthstone here, so after they summon me to, like, this half of the zone, so I don't need to, like, do all that travel, my Warlock's Hearth go back to, like, the start of Valley, then they go over here, and then after I'm finished here, I get summoned directly to the start point for Kunlai Summit. You pick up the quest here, you go in here, you grab the treasure in... I can't click on the little subzone, but there's the Hammer of Folly in the Veiled Stare. There we go. Hammer of Folly over here. So, you get that. Forgotten Lockbox. I think this gives less experience than a normal treasure. Probably still worth grabbing on your way. And then you do Kunlai Summit. And then same thing for Kunlai, right? Technically speaking, with the Warlock summons, I could even do some Zouchin Village shenanigans, but I don't think I'll need to. But I could have them positioned like in the corner here and summon myself there. Or realistically, I could summon myself up to the Temple of the White Tiger, because it's like a decent amount of running to go like all the way up the steps if you don't have flying. So that would be good. I could also, I could grab the Swen treasure by just diving into the pool and then summon myself back up. There's a lot of cool stuff I could do. I'm rambling at this point. This is not relevant at all. It's just, you know, I've done all this prep work, and hopefully, if all goes well, you'll get to see it in the actual speedrun on launch day, you know, in 12 hours. And I don't know why I'm sitting here yapping, because I have a leveling guide to finish. But, yeah, I mean, it's fun. Because I've been sitting here, like, all of this, like, theory crafting, I'm just doing in my own little bubble. Just, you know, for my own personal benefit, and it's just fun to get to, like, actually put it into words, the plans that I've just had, like, swirling around in my head. So, you know, yeah. Anyways, I hope that you found this a little bit helpful, showcasing the different leveling potential things in Jade Forest. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of an edge later today. And, yeah, hopefully you like the leveling guide when it's done later today. I really hope that I get it. I'm gonna have it out on time, like, come hell or high water, but I'm really hoping I get it out early enough to where I have time to take a nap before launch. Otherwise, I'm just going to be, like, dead tired for the entire MoP leveling process, and that would suck, but I would do it. So, we'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.